So each chapter you'll get a study guide from me just highlighting what I think are the important features of the chapter. It'll help you read through the text and also pull out information that I think is necessary for you to retain. Now, chapters 1 and 2 are a little light, so these examples will get more in depth, but I wanted to give you something to work with at least for the first couple chapters and get used to the process. So, for example, you'll go through chapter 1, and some of those definitions are really important because you'll need those throughout the rest of the chapters. So, I want you to go through and write in what is a cost driver. You're going to need to know that for future reference. Another important topic that's discussed in chapter 1 is these value added activities. It's good to know which ones are value added and what the difference is between value added and non-value added activities. So, for example, for value added activities, I want you to go in and write down what kind of value added activities would be a component and then give some examples of that. Research and development, you're looking for new products. So some of that might become part of finding those new products or looking at patents that go with those. So I just want you to kind of get a full understanding of the components of these value added activities and bring some real life examples to them. Also, in these study guides, I'm going to go through an example of some of the homework that you'll have to be doing on your own. The point of the homework, again, is to really make you think, get you to the point where you're researching how to do it, you're challenging yourself, and you're finding that right answer. So I'll go through some of those simple, basic concepts with you, but I really want to challenge you to kind of research and find out how to do the more complex problems. So my goal is just to give you that starting point. Again, in chapters 1 and 2, these concepts are kind of simple, but just to give you an example of what we'll do, I'm going to go through this problem. It's problem 142 in your book. I'll always pick one from the book and then give you the same problem with different numbers so you can try it if you want to. So again, if you wanted to look, it's 142 of your book. And then I want to read through and pull out some of those important pieces. Whenever I see that paragraph of information, and a lot of the homework and material in this text is going to be a lot of information that you need to learn how to dissect and pull out pieces. So we're going to go through, read the paragraph, and pull out those important pieces. So its profits have been declining, and the management wants to add to an express service that will increase revenues by $50,000 a year. That's an important piece. But whenever we increase revenues, that typically means we have to add in some additional costs. Some of these additional costs are the vehicle is going to add another $7,500. Supervisor will have no increase in their salary, but labor and utilities costs would increase by 50%, and rent and other costs will increase by 20%. So what we want to do is build a differential analysis to figure out, right now we have an area that is losing money. If we add in this additional service, will it actually increase our profits, and by how much? So let's walk through this together. So first, we discovered that the revenues would increase by $50,000. So our new revenue, we started at 152, we add 50, we come to 202. So I'm going to go and just build a new financial statement showing what our revenues and expenses are going to look like if we add this additional service. And then, of course, our difference is that 50,000. And I wrote it wrong. So our difference is 50,000. Then we're going to go look at those vehicle leases. Now remember, I went through and I highlighted some of the important features, so I know that that vehicle lease is going to cost another $7,500 per year. So I'm going to go ahead and add that to the cost, which would then be $67,500, and of course the difference is $7,500. Our labor and utilities, it says, would increase by 50%. So if I want to get an increase of 50%, I'm going to take my labor cost now and times that by 1.5. If I do that, it equals 72,000. So my new cost would be 72,000, showing an increase of 24,000. Then I'm going to look at my utilities, which also would increase by 50%. 50% of 8,000 is 4,000. So my new cost would be 12,000, showing that difference of 4,000. It says that rent and other costs are going to increase by 20%. So I would take my rent and increase that by 1.2, which would give me 19,200. My new cost is 19,200, giving me a difference of 3,200. My other costs also increased by 20%, so that's 9,600, a difference of 1,600. And finally, remember, it told me that the manager's salaries will not change. So I'm going to just put that same number in there and show no differences. Now what I want to do is add up my total costs for my alternative. If I do that, it's 204,300, giving me a difference of 2,300. Now we'll get into this and really look more in depth in the other chapters, but what we're trying to do is find out how much money we're making in relation to costs and revenue, and how does that affect not only our contribution margin but our break even. But for this example, we're going to go through and see that the change in our total costs are 40,300. So that's going to give me a difference, an increase in my operating revenue of 9,700. Because remember, we increased our revenue by 50,000. So I can do a quick check to make sure those numbers make sense. We would then review these numbers and see whether or not we should continue and add this alternative, and what would it do to our total profit. Here we know, because we have that positive increase, we should include this alternative for our business. Now you can go and try another problem like this in Blackboard, and then continue to do the rest of the homework for the chapter. Please let me know if you have any questions.